Now, over there in verse 8, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. That's his eternality. The eternity of God is so tied to his omnipresence. Omnipresence means this. God is everywhere equally present in every part of the universe, but he operates differently wherever he is. Did you catch that? We don't even understand what that means. It isn't, God is not in everything. That's panentheism. God isn't everything. That's pantheism. Those are all errors. He isn't pantheistic or panentheistic. He is everywhere present. And by the way, he inhabits all of eternity equally. Now for us, we don't know what that means. It means God is equally present in the past. He's equally present in the future. He's equally present right now, in this moment. He isn't more here than back there, and he's not less here than he will be there. His eternity is that he fills everything equally. Now, that's why systematic theology is very difficult, because it's hard for our minds to get around some of these truths. So let's just stick with the scripture. He is going to stand forever. Now look at verse 10. Behold, the Lord shall come with strong hand. His arm shall rule for him his reward. That's the strong arm. You know, we have an expression in America, someone is strong-arming me. That means they're stronger than me and they make me do stuff. It's not talking about that. It's talking about his all-powerfulness, which fits with his eternity and knowing everything. Now look at the omniscience. Who has measured the water in the hollow of his hands? So if we want to know how much water is in the ocean, we have to measure it. God's omniscience means God does not count things. You understand that? You know what it says? He already knows the number of everybody's hair on their head. I always wonder about when one falls out, does he have he knows that. He also doesn't discover things. God never discovers. He never finds something new. That's what all this means. But have you applied that to your life? God knew John was going to get the flu, if that's what you had. He knew about it before the world was created, because he didn't discover it. He didn't hear about it. Do you understand the implication? Are you awake enough to think of the implications of what this means? What these attributes mean? That God knows everything equally, completely, since before time, because he invented time. Now, Isaiah tells us something. Now, you want something interesting. Here's the past, here's the present, and here's the future. Do you know what Isaiah says a little bit later in chapter 40? God, this is the Greek letter theta, stands for God, sees equally the past, the present, the future, and eternity. This is eternity, and this is eternity. Time is just this brief period right here. God, his eternity means he's equally present here, 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 and here. He's equally present. That's omnipresence. He is equally, well, I shouldn't say equal. He is differently operating. God is operating one way here, one way here, one way here. It isn't like he is not present and engaging, but look at this. The way he operates always follows the grid of his character. So he is unchangeable in the fact that who he is never changes, but he interacts with the past and with each of those people and with each of us right now and in the future. So all of that to say that's the character of God. Now keep going. In chapter 40, there are more. Look at his wisdom. Who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, verse 13? Who does God take counsel with? Who taught him justice? Who gave him knowledge? Nobody. All the nations are just a drop in the bucket. You ever heard that term, a drop in the bucket? Did you know there are about 50 terms in the English language that come right out of the Bible? Kind of like feet of clay. You ever heard of feet of clay? All these little, there's an old English expression, saved by the skin of your teeth. What? I don't even know what skin of your teeth don't have skin, and maybe it's your gums. But all these little expressions came into the English language through the translation of the Bible. Look at this. His majesty, that's one of his attributes. All the nations are like nothing. God is unique. He's like, verse 18 says, like no one else. He is the creator. Look what verse 22 says. God sits above the circle of the earth. Here's earth. Like this. God sits above it right here. He is the creator. All the inhabitants are like grasshoppers. Look at verse 22. He stretches out the heavens like a curtain. Remember I told you that in creation, Isaiah stresses that God took the universe and it was, he had this grand plan and he went like this. And it unrolled. From where? Well, when was what created? On day one, God separated the light from darkness. And day two, remember his spirit moved on the face of the deep and he said, let there be light. And he starts creating the earth. When does he make the stars and what, the galaxies and everything else that's out there? Right here. He's making the earth and light and darkness and the firmament separating from the waters above and the waters below. Then he makes the universe. Is that a mistake? Is that an error? No. That's how you understand it all. If he is standing on day 1, 2, and 3 here on earth, well, standing, God is a spirit, but you know what I mean. And then on day 4, he comes out for his next day of work and goes and unrolls all the galaxies, all the planets, all the stars. Think about what you learned in high school or college about physics, that light travels, from this star toward us at 186,000 miles per second, We know that, the speed of light. But that's assuming that the star was created out there and we've waited for 4 light years or 16 billion light years for it to get to us here on Earth. But actually did you see what that says? He sits above the circle of the earth, verse 22, its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, and he stretched out the heavens like a curtain. He spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. He opens, he pushes them outward. So if actually the Lord went and put that galaxy and put that galaxy, he rolled them out from the earth. It's very in the realm of physics that their light spread out from the earth, and that we're seeing all light that at the same instant appeared in the sky because God rolled it out from the center, which is actually the record of what it says he did. But I'm not teaching Genesis, so we have to get back to the Creator. See verse 26, lift up your eyes on high, see the Creator who created these things. He brings out their hosts by number. He calls them all by name. Do you know how many stars there are? Right now they think there are 600 octillion. Octillion. How many zeros is that? The same number of stars as synaptic connections in your brain. Most neuroscientists say that if you look at your neurons, and every brain cell has these little arms going out, and those arms connect with the arms of other cells, and every one of the times the little arms touch each other, it's called a synaptic connection. And what they say is when a good pianist is playing the piano, if you could see the synaptic connections in their brain as their eyes are looking at the music, as their mind is remembering the speed and everything else. As their hands are moving around, it says their brain would look like a synaptic firestorm or lightning. It's just going. But there are enough connections in your brain to rival the number of stars. That's a great little trivial fact. God has named every star. And they're not how astronomers, we have an astronomer, different ones if you like astronomy. What do they call most stars? A106423. What a name. It's kind of like, sounds like a prisoner number. God has named every star in the universe. See how great he is? He is the one, he is the God who brings out their host by number, verse 26. Look at verse 28. Have you not known, have you not heard, the everlasting God, verse 28, the creator of the ends of earth, neither faints nor is weary, he's omnipotent. But look at verse 29. He gives power to the weak. He gives us what we don't deserve. That's his grace. And there's grace in the Old Testament. And here's mercy. Those who wait on the Lord renew their strength. They will mount up with wings. They'll not be weary. He is merciful, understanding when we lose our strength and lose our way.